fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am beyond excited for this video because we're going to be testing out the new Natasha Denona Yucca Palette. I feel like it has been forever since I saw an eyeshadow palette and I just went to the website and purchased it right away. Not a second thought because I knew I had to have this. I had to try it out, had to review it for y'all, and it's just the color story is everything. So I'm sure you've probably already seen it by now. But look how stunning. It looks like the Natasha Denona Gold palette and the Metropolis palette had a little baby. Shimmers in here look beautiful, but I am so here for the mattes. All of these tones of green and grunge are so beautiful. I just feel really, really inspired. So today we're gonna go through, live swatch every single shade. We're gonna do a look and then I'll give you guys my first impression thoughts at the end. I know that this palette is already available at Sephora and Ulta, so I will link it down below for y'all in case you're interested in picking it up. But without any further ado, let's jump into swatches. All right, so the first shade we have is called Plantasia, and this, ooh, such a pretty delicate shimmer. It actually reminds me a lot of Lime Chrome from Natasha Denona. It has that like really warm base and that neon greeny gold shift. So I'm super excited to see that in here. Definitely a really stunning duochrome. We've got Calathea, which is a kind of olivey green, and it feels like it is a cream to powder matte formula. Next we have Komorabi. I'm probably pronouncing that so wrong, but this is a really beautiful kind of silvery green. Absolutely stunning. It makes me think of one of my favorite shades from the Mel Thompson and Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels palette. I love a good silvery green. Oh my goodness. That is stunning. I feel like it's a little more opaque than Lime Chrome, but I'm not mad at it. Ooh, and look at that one. Okay, I'm so happy right now. It's a Saturday morning and I woke up early because I was like, I need to play with this palette. I need to film a video ASAP. Next we have the shade Acacia, which is a creamy, grungy, like Dijon mustardy, brownie yellow. We've got Camu Camu, which is a kind of chartreusey pastel shade. It does feel a little more powdery to the touch, but sometimes you can expect that when it comes to really bright kind of pastel shades. We've got Tipu, which looks like a mustardy yellow. It reminds me of, I think it's Dijon in the gold palette. Those two are pretty similar, but this one just has a bit more yellow. Okay. Yeah, like I said, those two are very similar. This one is a little lighter, has a little more yellow. Next we have the shade Elysian, which is a sparkly silver, like gunmetal shade, which is kind of an interesting choice for this palette. Definitely a little something different. We have the shade Valley, which is a warm brown. Again, it has like a little bit of yellowy undertone to it. Kind of reminds me of the shades in the Camel palette from Natasha Denona, which if you guys want to see a full video comparing this to all the other Natasha Denona palettes, let me know. This morning I only really have time for a first impression, but I will do it if you want to see it. Next we have Citrine, which is more of a true chartreuse shade. So pretty. That like matches my sweater perfectly, which was obviously done on purpose. Okay, pretty. Oh, I love that color. It's giving baby poop, but we stand. Next we have the shade Ray. So this is a gold light shade. Honestly, the shimmers in here feel really soft to the touch. They feel super nice. This one also has a little bit of a green undertone, so it's not just a super boring flat gold, which I appreciate. We've got Flax, which is the deepest shade in the palette. It's a pretty neutral brown, I would say. And then we have Fuchsia, which, ooh, okay, that shade feels so weird. So it feels like it's supposed to be like the cream to powder, but it feels really dry and thick, and like the shade is coming off, but it just feels, I don't know that it's supposed to be that dry. Okay, love that shade. Okay, So it's really pigmented, but I wish you guys could feel it. I've never felt an eyeshadow like that. It almost feels like it's like a gel like liner or something. It feels so thick, and I'm kind of curious, like, is that how it's supposed to feel? Is that like, is mine just dried out? I haven't watched anyone else's video on this yet, so I don't know. Next we have the shade Macchia, which is a kind of mid-tone green, super sparkly. It's like an olive undertone. We've got Ixia. I almost said Ixia, which is another warm brown kind of mid-tone shade. That one just feels like a traditional powder shadow. And last but not least, we have Willow, which is a teal. It's a teal matte moment. Excuse me. So pretty. Okay. So there is the entire Yucca palette swatched out. I honestly am so excited right now. The shades look sparkly. The mattes look really, really good. I feel like I can be a bit of a negative Nancy when it comes to Natasha Denona because I love the quality, but sometimes with the color stories, I'm like, oh, I wish it was this, or I wish it was that, or like sometimes she doesn't include like her special shadows, or like the palette is just full of like regular metallics. But the shadows do look sparkly. We've got this really stunning duochrome here, and the mattes that were just chosen for this are all so pretty. Like, I feel like this is the grungy palette we've been waiting for from Natasha Denona, so I'm excited. I'm so excited. How many times can I say I'm excited? I know, like, there's like this voice in the back of my head now where people are like, I hate when YouTubers say they're excited for every video. But like, I do my best to not film unless I'm in a good mood and unless I'm excited about what I'm filming about. So like, I'm not lying, I am excited. I already primed my eyes with the P. Louise base in a shade 0.5, and I don't even know exactly what I'm gonna do with this look. I feel like I'm just gonna follow my heart. So I'm gonna start off with this shade Camu as my inner corner because it's so pretty and bright and I feel like it's fun. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that right here to start off with. Ooh, that is super bright. It genuinely looks neon. And then just kind of bringing it up just a little bit towards my crease. This has been my favorite way to apply inner corner shades recently, just bringing them up and just blowing it out a little bit. I can't help myself. I'm just like gravitating towards the most fun shades. I'm also gonna go into citrine right here because it matches my sweater and it looks so, so pretty. So I'm just gonna kind of use that on the center of my lid, or sorry, center of my crease. What am I talking about? Just kind of blending that towards the inner corner and towards the outer V, but mostly focusing it right on the center. Okay, so I'm applying that by blending, and you can see that it's blending, but it's shearing out a little bit. I'm just gonna tap that down and see how that looks. Sometimes pushing the product in gives a way more intense application. And then I'll just go ahead and blend the edge from there. Just stamping it in. I'm having one of those days where I want to go super bold and I want to try and use as many shades as possible. But I think it's just because I'm so inspired by this palette. Next, I'm going to go into this shade right here, Acacia. I was like kind of torn between using that one or using Tipu because they both look so similar. But I'll just go in with Acacia, and we're gonna put that into the outer third of my crease. I feel like that's actually applying a little bit darker than I thought it swatched. Like a little bit more impactful. I wasn't planning for this, but I'm gonna go into Camu, that first really bright shade, and we're actually gonna just like slightly blend above everything else with that, just using it pretty sheer. I don't know why I feel like it's a little bit patchy right here, but I'm like, is that user error? I'm gonna go back in and fix it in just a moment. Just going back in with a little bit more of that shade and blending right here just because I don't want it to be patchy at all. Oh, I'm also gonna go back into a little bit more of citrine to go in the middle. Build that up and blend I'm gonna go in with a smaller blending brush, and I really wanna test out the shade Flax since it is the deepest shade in the palette. I'm gonna pop that on the outer V just for a little extra definition. Part of me does wanna use that silvery gray just to kind of see what it adds to this look, but also part of me just wants to use the duochrome that we swatched first because it is so pretty. We'll work on the lower lash line and see how we feel. Okay, that's blending super easy. No problems there. I need a pencil brush. Taking a touch of Flax and just adding it to the outer third of the lower lash line. Just kind of connecting. I might also just kind of wipe that brush off a little bit and go into Camu Camu and bring that onto the inner third of the lower lash line. Slightly obsessed with this shade right now. I take a touch of Elysian, and I'm gonna pop that in the middle of the lower lash line between Camu Camu and Flax. Part of me wants to go in with Plantasia all over the entire lid, and I think that would be stunning. But also part of me wants to take Macchia and do that on the outer half and then use the shade Grungy on the inner half. And I think I'm gonna go with that plan just so I can show you guys 2 more shadows in use. I don't know. Let's just do that, and then we'll see if we want to add something on top, as if 2 shades is not enough. So I'm taking Macchia first, and we're gonna pop that on the outer half of the lid. Kind of focusing right there, and then whatever's left over on my finger, I'll start blending towards the inside. Right, so now going with Grungy, that like silvery green, just stunning shade. Ooh, look at that. That is so pretty. Okay. I see you, Natasha. I see what you're doing here. I think I actually am gonna add a little bit of liner, even though I don't normally. I have this ColourPop gel liner in the shade Brouhaha. I just thought a nice brown would look cute with this. And then I'm gonna go into the Ilia Fullest Volume Mascara and just really coat my lashes, kind of build it up a little bit. So for blush, I have ColourPop Prairie Air in front of me, and I think it'll be cute, so we're just gonna add a little bit of pink. This is a different brush than I normally use, but still beautiful. For highlighter, I'm gonna go into the Heather Austin and Unearthly Resurgence little highlighter duo, and I'm going to use the shade Rebirth. Just gonna throw a little bit of that right on top. Just kind of keep that pinky cheek going, and a little on my nose. And then lastly for lips, I'm gonna go into the Fenty Sweet Mouth Gloss Bomb. All right, y'all, so this is the finished look. I love how it turned out. So let me tell y'all my quick thoughts on the palette. This is just a first impression. I definitely need to play with it more. But overall, I would say I'm very impressed. I feel like everything was easy to blend. Natasha Denona does have really good quality. So normally I don't have anything bad to say about that, except for that one pastel palette she did. I thought the quality on that left something to be desired. But I do feel like the quality in here is really nice, and I'm also really happy with the shimmer shade specifically because I feel like you are getting really special, intense, sparkly shades and not just like a satin, which some of her recent like midi palettes have had a lot of satins. And as I said in the beginning, just the color selection of all the mattes I feel like is so beautiful, so fun. And you could definitely do something a little bit more neutral, a little bit more soft with this. And you could also go even more colorful with this and add in that teal or add in some of the oranges. And I'm just really, really excited about this one. I actually think I want to film like a full maybe week of this palette. Would you guys want to see that? Like 5 looks with this? I know that's a lot. I know I haven't been doing like multiple looks videos, but I'm just super, super inspired and just happy to see something like this from Natasha Denona. And I'm also happy that it was a midi palette because honestly, this color story I would have purchased even if it was one of the bigger palettes. Oh, it got me. She got me with this one. That is everything for today's video. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. I will see you in the next one. Bye.